Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV. I'm joined by Bernard Deneen from the Citizen channel. We're here to preview the new Premier League season, and we're up to M. And M can only start with the only with the only team from Manchester. Only team from Manchester, Manchester City. I can go through everything that we won. You want me to go through it? Okay, then. We won 5 league titles in 6 seasons. We won the 3-peat. You don't want to mention the 3-peat?
We all know. We're mainly City fans on this, watching this.
So they want to hear that. They want to hear that. They want to hear what we won. So we won. We won it all, guys. We won it all last season. And Bernard, you lost your tan, mate, from Istanbul. But I'll forever be jealous that you went to Istanbul and so as to lift that Champions League trophy. How was it for you?
Well, I ended up watching it more on the screen than in live because I couldn't see a bloody thing behind the things they have up. So I ended up looking like that and seeing him to lift it because I looked at it and he lifted it and then I could just see a chop of big ears, but that was about it. So typical. All the guys who paid the money got to see it, got a great view of it, and of course us poor people in the end didn't get a great view, but.
Doesn't matter. You were there.
It doesn't matter. I'll have memories. I've created memories, even ones I don't have. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's cool. We don't need to talk about last season because we won it almost. We won it all. So let's look at ins and outs and look forward to next season. So obviously we lost Ilkay Gundogan to Barcelona on a free. We lost Riyad Mahrez to Saudi Arabia for 25 million. Good reasons why he's gone. Loaned out a few kids. So far, we loaned out Josh Wilson-Esbrand to Stade de Reims in France. We have sold James Trafford to Burnley. Shea Charles we've sold to Southampton. Loaned out Liam Delap to Hull. Incomings we've had so far Mateo Kovacic, Josko Gvardiol. There's talk of this fella from West Ham, Lucas Paqueta, one or two of the names being mentioned in and out. How do you think we've done in transfer business this summer, Bernard? Financially, I think we've done very well because of the players that are gone.
I think we're probably one or two still light of positions. I think Pep Sinti, we've still got perhaps another one at least to come in before the season starts. It's getting a bit late now, certainly for key players, because teams don't want to lose key players this late in the game because they've got to try and replace them, which is always a big problem. So we do like to do our business early usually. We certainly did with Jovetic, of course, Kovacic, but obviously Guardiola dragged on a bit longer than I think we all wanted it to, and I'm sure Cheeky and Pep didn't want it to drag on that long. But it is getting a bit late in the day, and go as it stands at the moment, we're okay. But you can't replace Gundogan. We've talked about it before. You can't really replace him, his uniqueness. We need a fit KDB as he gets to the downslope now. We need a fit KDB this season to fire. But I think we still need someone to take some of the weight off KDB as well. And I'm not quite sure we've got the guys in the squad who can do that, unless all these switcheroos he does. Suddenly Mr. Stones turns into a wonderfully creative, he takes him on to another level. But we need people like Foden to step up, who, of course, it's a big, important season for him. I think generally, squad-wise, we're slightly worse than last season. As it stands, I think if we get another one, at least another one, we might look a little bit better. But we were 5 points clear last season. Having a similar sort of squad with keeping players fit again is very important. If we lose key players, the vicious rumour the other day we already lost one of our guys. It was just a rumour, thankfully. I don't know why people do this. I don't know why people say these things on the internet and stuff.
People pick it up and it just goes viral.
Ridiculous. I mean, so yes, if we keep people fit, I think we've got enough in the bag to do pretty well again. But I think these early knock-ins are going to be very interesting. I think we need to perhaps sneak games as well. These early knock-ins and do better than we did last. I know it sounds daft, but I think we should have started a little bit better last season than what we did. We had the capability to do it, and we didn't do it. Fortunately, all worked out fine in the end, but I don't think that'll happen again. I think we need to get to a better start this season.
when you saw last season, we put pressure on Arsenal towards the end of the season, they crumbled. We can't allow them to have it easy the first half of the season, get 50 points like they did last time. We need to be putting pressure on them. Yes, they should be mentally a bit stronger, but we need to put pressure on them. I'm going to tell you a little about Cole Palmer, because obviously he's been linked with a move to, I think he was linked with a move to West Ham at the moment. He was also linked with a move to Brighton earlier in this window. What Pepper said, he said, Cole is with us. Today he is with us. What is going to happen? I don't know. I understand he wants to be more active than the previous season. But Riyad Mahrez, has gone. So we have one more place there. I cannot see anything because, of course, all the decisions need to be made by the club. The club has to decide what the best is. Altogether, we will do it. Now, to me, that you can look at it two ways, and that's how I'm looking at it. One, obviously, Cole Palmer wants to play more. Two, Pep's telling him the space available because Riyad's gone. But three, I also think Cole potentially is looking at an option to move away. I don't think he wants to because he was a City lad, but he's had 2 years of stalling. He's not played enough. And so he's got to weigh up. And I think it might be like Kyle Walker's decision where we thought Kyle Walker apparently agreed terms with Bayern Munich and then City persuaded him to stay and he's going to sign a new contract. Bernardo Silva looks like he's going to sign a new contract. Now, I think City want Cole Palmer to stay because I think next season is his chance. Same way as Phil Foden came through. He played a few games the first season, load more the second season. Exactly, very similar numbers to Cole Palmer, and then Phil was more of a mainstay that season after that. This is Cole's chance because he's developing. You'd expect him to want to play more, and Riyad's gone. So let's quickly look at Cole Palmer. What do you think he should be doing right now?
I agree with you. I mean, I think if you look at the Mahrez situation and what Cole Palmer can give you, I think we're talking very similar. All right, perhaps I've got the first touch that Mr. Mahrez has got, but I think if Pep, it depends how much Pep wants to change things. Yeah. I mean, the trouble is with Mahrez, at least he kept the ball. Yeah, he knew when to put it. But all right, it was boring at times. Getting the ball and put it, which it was, but he knew when to try and go and when not to, and that was the only intelligence. That's been years of experience. Cole's a bit more, I'll have a go every time I get it. He's not looking to pass it back or do a quick 1-2 or what as Mahrez would be doing. So and he is a funny one. Matt Palmer is a funny. I'd love him to stay and actually, as he did in the Community Shield, blow everyone away with that goal. Great goal, but he'd already had an earlier chance, which I won't say he fluffed it. It was blocked, but he said, I think he said himself, he didn't. I think he could have hit it earlier. He said at the time, and I think watching the game, even in live, you think, smack it now, don't take that extra touch, and that's experience. He's 21. He will learn. So personally, I don't think he will be. I think there's still a possibility of him moving on this season. But as time passes, perhaps Pep is going to take more of a risk on him and more a risk because it will be a risk because, we'll have cup games, but they're very few and far between. So he's going to
used to him. Cup games are not used to him.
He's going to have to throw him in quite early doors in bigger games. But as I say, as at this point in time, with a couple of weeks left of 3 weeks left of the transfer window, is it? It'd be interesting. I still think he may leave us, but you never know what Pep's mind. If Pep doesn't get a certain play, perhaps he's got his mind on something else. If that doesn't happen, he might find a use for Palmer.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Bernard. You've just set another group of fans. The Algerian fans will be on my case. Thank you very much.
I thought it was nice to him. He said he knew when to pass it back and when to go for it.
You called him boring. You called Riyad Mahrez boring.
I said it could be looked at as boring, but it was just there wasn't the. Unless you've got, it's no good looking at someone if you're not confident in getting past him and creating something. So sometimes Mahrez, I'll put it back and I'll get it again in a minute. And that was his attitude.
Yeah, but you mentioned the word boring. That's
Pep like that. Pep like that because he didn't want to lose the ball, and Mahrez wouldn't lose the ball.
Mahrez did what Pep wanted, which is why he got played so much. Quickly, obviously, we've been linked with Paqueta. Pep has said, I will not answer about Paqueta. He is a West Ham player, which means he obviously is keen on Paqueta. So, that's interesting there. Okay, what are City going to win this season? Anything or everything? Or somewhere in between?
Well, anything less than 3 is a disappointment, isn't it, really? Yep. But I'm not going to include the Super Cup. I'm not going to include the World Club Cup, whatever it's called. I'm not going to bother with that. I mean, if we win one of them, I'd love to win the Super Cup just because we've never won it. And I like history, and winning something for the first time is wonderful. The world one as well. It'd be lovely to win it. I mean, but
we should do the best.
Yeah. So I'd love to win that, but it's not really they're not really trophies for me, even though I would love to win them in the same way. The Community Shield isn't a trophy for me, and even though some people, there's a Super Cup, which is what other countries call it. I would be happy, very, very happy. I think we've got to bleed blood for this 4P, haven't we, for the 4th time. I think we've got to do everything we can to do that. If that means other things fall by the wayside. And of course, with the Champions League at Wembley, I mean, let's go for them. Let's win them. Let's try for those two, and that'll be great. That'll be a great result. If we win one of them, I'll be happy. Yeah. Probably the league more than the Champions League. And we've done it now. The monkey's off our back. I'm not overly bothered about the Champions League anymore. But it'd be lovely to do them both. If we had to pick one, I'd say the Premier League, just because it's never been done.
Yeah. Man after my own heart, because other teams have won the Champions League back-to-back. Obviously, Real Madrid have done it many times. Even Nottingham Forest won it 2 times on the bounce. But to win the Premier League...
Not many teams have won the title once and then won the Champions League or European Cup more times, is there? I don't know what the stats are like, but I don't imagine there's that many.
No, because obviously you've got to win it once and win it again. Well, it's changed now. It's changed because Liverpool won the Champions League after never being champions. So rubbish. If you offered me right now 1 trophy, Carabao Cup. No. I don't want that. No. I want the league. I want that 4-timer because no one else has ever done it. It's something brand new. And nobody
it will be tougher than last season.
Yeah, definitely. Nobody can take it. If we did it, nobody can take it away from us. And all the BS that we've got over the years, that the Invincibles were better than us, United's treble winners were better than us. Well, we've smashed United trebles winners because there's no question about it. The way we did our treble, I think, was better. We won the league by 5 points rather than 1 point. And if there was something on the line, we'd have won it by 10. Don't get me, despite how well Brighton and Brentford played at the end of the season, if there was something on the line, we'd have won those games. We beat United in the FA Cup, and I think we did much better in the Champions League the way we did it. So overall, I think that's better. But they keep telling us, "Oh, you got to win the league again, or then you're going to get a repeat. Oh, you're going to win the Champions." We've done it all, and So if 100 points, no one's ever done it. All domestic trophies, no one's ever done it. We've done it. So this incarnation of City is just brilliant, and I want that trophy. We're going to move on. Do we have to talk about?
We can be brief. We can talk about them briefly and have a laugh.
Okay. Well,
informed team, by the way. Don't forget they were one of the informed teams at the end of last season.
Well, after more than 10 years, Phil Jones has left Man United. I'm gutted. Because you knew when as long as Phil Jones was there, they were going to win nothing big time. Anyway, let's look at Manchester United. We've got no choice. We're fair on this channel. They finished 3rd last season, 4 points clear of Newcastle, 8 points clear of Liverpool. They managed to win 23 games, which was not bad, but losing 9 games obviously hurt them a little bit too much for a challenge for the league title. Although at one point when they were near where City were, their fans got a little bit too excited. Give United credit. They did reasonably well last season, and here's the but, they could throw in some stinkers. They started the season with a loss to Brighton, with a loss, a pumping by Brentford by 4-0. Then they turn it around and beat Liverpool. Then they have a good run of games to beat Southampton, Leicester, and they beat Arsenal. Then they got battered 6-3 by City. They did take some pumpings last season, no more so than losing to Liverpool by 7-0. 7 goals. I mean, that's, you couldn't show your face again for months if that had happened. Honestly, you couldn't.
Not against the main rivals, as Liverpool are, we're told. So
give United credit. They did manage to win the Carabao Cup. but they got beat in the Champions League at the group stage. That's pretty poor. Really was pretty poor to get knocked out of the Champions League at the group stage. I mean,
yeah, they gave the Europa a good goal, didn't they? They got quite far in that.
I'd be more worried why we didn't do out in the Champions League. But when you basically, who did they get beat by? I'm just trying to look who they got beat by. So you had the mighty Omonia. Was that Omonia Nicosia? Sheriff Tiraspol. What kind of clubs are these? Real Sociedad. I mean, they managed to finish anyway. They advanced to the knockout round playoff, and then they got beat. So United, rubbish in Europe last season. You know, you might think they did all right in the Europa League. They were rubbish in my book. And overall, I mean, to be honest, I don't care. I'm not following what United do really. I'm happy that they get knocked out and stuff. I don't even know what happened in the Champions League and the Europa League. All I remember, I think they beat Barcelona and they were going, woo, woo. You know, it's a Europa League game, weren't it? And these two clubs are going, woo, look at us, big game, man, and all that. Also runs. That's all I remember them by. Anyway, right, let's quickly go through United stuff because I don't want to talk about them much longer. They've let Zidane Iqbal go to Utrecht. I think they're going to rue that. I think, guys, anybody who's named after Zinedine is worth keeping. Okay, Mason Mount, they spent a ton of money on Mason Mount. Was it 80 million quid? A lot of money, or 60 million quid, whatever it was. They've got Andre Onana. He's coming from Inter. A lot of money on him. They've let Alex Telles go to Saudi Arabia, looking to get any money for him. Alanga's gone to Forest. Will Fish has been loaned out to Hibernian. Bishop's gone to Sunderland. They've got this Højlund from Atalanta. They've let the goalie go. I forgot his name. You remind me who the goalie was. De Gea. They've let Ethan Galbraith go. Phil Jones go. Axel Tuanzebe. I'm surprised that he's gone. Ethan Galbraith, Deshaun Bernard, Eric Hanbury, Charlie Wellens, Manny Norquette, and obviously David.
Why have I got Johnny Evans written down here?
He was training with them. And there was rumours that they're going to offer him a contract. I mean, look at the difference. We're going there getting Gvardiol. And he's back at Man United. I think he has re-signed with them. I'm just checking.
Yeah, I've done a thing on United. I've got Johnny Evans, and I can't remember why I wrote it down by United.
Well, I think he's come back to United. So he trained with United after he was released by Leicester. And on 18th of July, Evans had signed a 1-month deal at the club. So that allowed him to play in pre-season friendlies. I don't know if it was just for the friendlies, but it's only a 1-month deal. So it will run out in a few weeks' time once the season started. And it might be Man United are just hedging their bets because if somebody else comes in for him, he'll go. You know, he wants to play. But he's just been training with them. So it might be that they need him. You know, we're getting Gvardiol, they're getting Johnny Evans. I mean, look how far the mighty have fallen. So question is, Bernard, what are they going to do this season? Are they going to win out?
They spent a lot of money. I didn't think they'd win anything last season, but obviously they scraped something, didn't they? It wasn't much, but they scraped something. They've got the pound shop Haaland, haven't they, from this Hodgland lad who scored 12 in 30-odd games. Well, he sounds a marksman, doesn't he? So he's all right. I don't mind Mount. He's okay. Mount's all right. And they got De Gea. I mean, I don't care what you say. I mean, the amount of points he's won for them over the seasons. I'm sure he won points from last season, even though he was terrible in some games. But Onana, it's a come down for me. I don't rate Onana particularly. He's good with his feet, but he sometimes. But having said that, Edison has his nightmares touching his feet. But I did laugh when that goal went in, of course, again in the friendly olds. That was a cracking goal. But that's what you get. So I think De Gea generally as a keeper in time is a big loss for them. Yeah. So it's always going to be difficult to replace him because he came good again, didn't he? He went off the boil when that other guy was there that went to Forest, and then he came back in favour again. Yeah. And then obviously, the trouble with keepers is once you start struggling, you up there it goes. you're in trouble. So hopefully Onana will be chipped by a few more players, and his head will go. That'll be great. But I think they'll do. They're all right. I mean, they're so inconsistent. I mean, obviously when I do the City things and I look at the Manchester Evening News, I tend to stumble across the United player ratings. I don't look at them particularly, but you sort of just have a quick glance down. You know, you can go from games where the players are getting 6 or 7, and the next game they're getting 3s and 4s. I mean, City don't do that. City don't. You know, we get the odd game, of course we do, where someone might get a 4 or a 5, but it's those inconsistencies. You know, this is the United journalist reporting on the United team. So you can only look at that and think you probably punched above the weight last season. You probably did better than, because they've got a reputation. Yeah. And that's all it is. It's United. So, you know, teams sometimes, you know, think they've lost their goal down already. I don't know why, even now. That's how it is. And I think third last season. Yeah. I don't think they're going to better that.
Yeah,
it could be that again, and they might nick a cup.
Nah, I'm giving them nothing next year. Nothing. I'm going to say I don't think Champions League, a trophy, or anything. So let's move on. We're going to rattle move on. Let's go to some a good news story. Newcastle United didn't flatter to deceive by finishing in the top 4 last season. Got Champions League football. Eddie Howe's done a cracking job. 4 points clear of Liverpool. Only lost 5 games. Went through a stage where they had a cracking defence, only letting 33 goals all season, same as City. Decent number of goals, 68. You know, Callum Wilson was injured for a bit. They got Isak come in. He started scoring. Almiron went through an amazing purple patch with some incredible goals. Cracking season for Newcastle last season. What are your thoughts, Bernard? How well
many draws? At least they weren't losing. That's the thing. They've got to, like we mentioned it in a previous thing about a team turning draws into victories. That's what Newcastle needed to do. I mean, even though they did finish 4th and beat Liverpool, of course, into 5th, I think they drew 3 of the last 5 games. So only because Liverpool couldn't quite carry on their little run that perhaps didn't put the pressure on them, and Newcastle managed to get, because they did lose that spot, didn't they, for a little while? They lost 4th place for a week or 2 anyway, and then came back again. So it's a bit of character.
Yeah. I think when you look at the last 4 games, it's a bit disappointing because they drew with Leeds, who got relegated. They beat Brighton 4-1, very good. They drew with Leicester, who got relegated, and they drew with Chelsea, who were crap.
So I'm not. I mean, looking at who they've got in. If you tell me who they've got in, I know about Harvey Barnes.
Okay, let's go through it. Let's go through who they got in. Then I was just going to say they had a really good purple patch last season, really good, which cemented what they did, where they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins on the bounce. Then they lost, and then they won 3. So they won 8 out of 9 games.
Because they did show a bit of character. As I said, I think they were stuttering a little bit, and then they came back again to grab.
Yeah, they lost at home to Liverpool and away to us. And before that, they'd drawn 3 games with Palace.
Yeah, against us, they were, you know, we beat them, but they'd give a good fist of it. I mean, it could have, you know, they could have easily done better against us.
Yeah, but I mean, who will ever forget that pumping of Spurs 6-1? That was juicy. Right, ins and outs. Let's try and go through not them all because there's too many. Okay, let's go through some important ones. So Chris Wood's gone out to Forest. They got Sandro Tonali from AC Milan. I quite like him. I talked about him a few years ago in a video with an agent or something that I did. Harvey Barnes is coming from Leicester. I think that's going to be interesting. Alan Saint-Maximin has gone out to Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia, which has got the money in for them to deal with with financial fair play, basically. And they've got Tino Livramento from Southampton. So in effect, we've got 3, 4. They've got this guy, Yankuba Minter from Odense. So they've got 4 looks like decent signings. They've not lost any of their main players. It's only Alan Saint-Maximin, who I think is a main player. I think they've done pretty good business there. Satisfied financial fair play. What do you think, Bernard?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head with that last comment you just made there. Satisfied FFP. The chuffed, of course, is mint balls to be in the Champions League, as quite rightly they should be. I wouldn't say I was blown away by who they brought in, but they've not weakened the squad. So, you know, based on what they did last season, as I said, some of those draws into wins, And I certainly don't think they'll be worrying the likes of us and Arsenal, but they'll be up there again, knocking other people out of the top 4.
Yeah, I think they'll be knocking on the door. Any trophies for them next season?
It depends if they want it. It depends if they, I wouldn't say, of course, Champions League. I wouldn't say, of course, the league, and I wouldn't perhaps not the FA Cup. So it depends if he can be bothered. I mean, the League Cup now is just. League Cup is just being ignored, really, isn't it? I mean, some teams could have perhaps won that over the years, and everyone seems to just forget about it. I can't be bothered. I mean, it's good enough for United last season.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, as I say, I can't see anything in the leagues, Champions or Premier League, but League Cup, and why not go for the FA Cup? It's still, for me, a major trophy and one of the historically the best trophies in the world to win.
Yeah. As I said about teams like Brighton and Aston Villa, because they're in Europe, they're coming in the third round of the League Cup. So, you can get 2 wins, and I think you're in the quarterfinals.
You had a bloody good chance to win it last year, didn't they? But they cut that up. I mean, let's face it, really, they should have won it, and they messed it up. So you owe it to the fans to go one better and at least win one of them.
Right, we move on. Surprise to some people that Nottingham Forest stayed in the league last season, but in the end, they finished 16th, 4 points clear of relegation. Cracking job they did last season. I'll tell you, they got in. They've got Chris Wood from Newcastle. Let's have a look at some important ones. Not really. They got this guy called Ola Aina from Torino. They've got Anthony Elanga from United. And they've got Matt Turner from Arsenal. Not a lot I'm going to say about Nottingham Forest. I want them not to get relegated, double European champions. I think they deserve to be there. Great,
one better than us, mate.
Yeah, great fans. I mean, they'll never remind us about it. They've got great fans. No, generally got a good fan base, apart from a few plonkers. What do you think they're going to do this season, Bernard?
16th last season they finished, didn't they? So they found 4 worse. I'm not overly impressed with who they brought in, but they had a massive squad anyway, didn't they? I'm sure they got rid of a few of them from last season. But again, it's home form, very big importance. Great crowd there at their place when they play at home, and I think that probably saved them last season, as it does with any of these clubs. And I think they'll struggle again. I can't see. Elanga from United. I have no idea how good he is. I have not a clue. But at least Wood, you know what you're getting, don't you? Chris Wood. So I think they'll be safe. But I can't see him improving the position too much.
I think they've done the finances good by letting Jack Colback has been released, Jordan Smith's gone, Andre Ayew, Cafu, Jesse Lingard. What a waste of money that was. So I'm saying, I hope they stay up. And live to fight another season in the Premier League. Right, guys, that's the end of this little video. Join us for the next one, where we will start off by looking at Sheffield United.